Ladies and gentlemen, you're facing one of the toughest battles of your life. The world is against you. People doubt you, misunderstand you, and try to break you. You're tired, you're hurting, and all you want to do is speak out, defend yourself, and let everyone know the truth, but instead you choose to be silent. And here's where the power lies. It's not the silence that weakens you. It's the silence that strengthens you, refines you, and prepares you for what's to come. Because when a woman stays silent, God fights for her in ways you can't even imagine. This is the story of your strength. This is why you need to keep listening. Because what you're about to hear will change how you see your own struggles and give you the courage to remain calm and trust that something greater is on your side. Don't miss this message. It could be the breakthrough you've been waiting for. Silence is not a sign of weakness. In fact, it's one of the most powerful tools a woman can possess. In a world where everything is loud, fast, and constant, silence often gets misunderstood. People may see it as passive, as if you're retreating or avoiding the situation. But the truth is, silence can be one of the most assertive forms of strength there is. It's not about being quiet because you have nothing to say. It's about knowing when to speak and when to remain still, trusting that silence will say more than words ever could. In a world where everything seems to demand an immediate response, where everyone is expected to have an opinion and express it right away, choosing silence can feel counterintuitive. We're taught that we need to be vocal, that we need to stand up for ourselves at every turn, that we need to be heard to be valued. But what if the most powerful thing you could do in the midst of chaos, confusion, or even conflict is nothing at all? What if in choosing silence, you're not just withholding your words, but you're making a statement of inner power, resilience, and control? When you remain silent in the face of negativity, criticism, or hardship, you're not conceding defeat. You're stepping into a place of higher understanding. In those moments when the world is pushing you, trying to provoke you into reacting, silence is your shield. It's a way of telling the world, I don't need to defend myself. My actions, my strength, my presence will speak for me. Silence becomes an act of faith. Faith that the truth will rise, that you don't need to force it, that God is already working behind the scenes to handle what you cannot see or control. Silence isn't about being passive or giving up. It's not about surrendering to circumstances, but rather it's about asserting your control over the situation. It's saying, I will not let this moment define me. I will not let this person or this situation bring me down to their level. You've chosen to rise above the noise, to let your calm be louder than any argument, your composure stronger than any words meant to tear you down. In a world that often equates talking with power, remaining silent is an even more potent act of strength. When a woman stays silent, she takes control of her own narrative. In silence, she's not allowing the chaos around her to define who she is or how she should react. She understands that true power comes from within, and it's in those moments of quiet that she taps into that power. The ability to not react, to not be dragged into every battle or argument, shows the kind of self-control that most people can't even begin to understand. The beauty of silence is that it allows you to observe, to take in what's happening around you without being swept up in the emotions of the moment. In those quiet moments, you gain perspective. You can listen not just to the words being spoken, but to the deeper meaning behind them. When you're silent, you allow yourself the space to process, to think, to feel, and to make decisions that are grounded in wisdom, not reaction. It's in that space that clarity is born, where your strength is refined and where your true power is realized. Silence also holds a tremendous spiritual power. In moments of hurt, betrayal, or confusion, many women feel the need to speak up, to shout, to argue, or to confront. But in those very moments, silence can be the most effective weapon in your arsenal. When you remain silent, you're telling the world, I don't need to defend myself. I trust that what's meant for me will come to me, and what's not will fall away. You're trusting that the higher powers at work are already intervening, that God is working behind the scenes, and that your silence is the most powerful message you can send. When someone tries to provoke you, tries to get under your skin, or says something hurtful, your reaction is often what gives them power over you. But when you choose silence, you remove that power. You refuse to give them the satisfaction of a response. Instead, you take back control. It's not just a tactical move, it's a declaration. A declaration that you are not at the mercy of others. You are at peace with yourself, and nothing outside of you can disturb that peace. It's important to remember that silence doesn't mean giving up or allowing people to walk all over you. It's not about hiding or running away. It's about choosing to stay calm, to be still, and to let go of the need to explain, defend, or justify yourself. Silence is an act of confidence. It says, I don't need to prove my worth to anyone. I know who I am, and I don't need anyone's approval to validate that. Silence gives you the space to stay grounded, to remain centered in your truth, and to not be swayed by external forces. In a world that constantly demands your attention, your words, your presence, silence becomes your greatest form of rebellion. It's a rebellion against the noise, the chaos, and the constant pressure to be something you're not. It's a statement that you won't be forced into a mold, that you won't react based on the expectations of others. You will be who you are unapologetically. And when you are silent, you create a space where your true self can shine through, unhindered by the noise. Silence is strength, it is power, it is control, and when you choose to stay silent, you are not shrinking, you are rising. You are telling the world, and more importantly, you are telling yourself that you don't need to fight every battle with words. The strength to remain silent is the strength to let God take over, to fight your battles for you, and to trust that in the end, your silence will speak louder than anything you could ever say. In the midst of life's greatest challenges, there's a quiet power in choosing to stay silent. It's often in the most difficult moments, when everything seems to be falling apart, when the world is testing your patience and pushing your limits, that the call to remain silent becomes not just a choice, but a necessity. The act of staying silent, of holding back your emotions and your words in the face of adversity, is not a form of defeat. In fact, it is an act of trust. Trust in the process that's unfolding around you. Trust that there's something greater at work. And trust that the outcome, although unseen, is already determined. When a woman chooses silence in the face of challenge, she is making a powerful declaration. I trust that this situation is not in my hands alone. This is not a passive submission, but an active decision to let go of the need for control. She understands that there are forces beyond her understanding, forces that are working in the background, that are orchestrating the events of her life for a reason. She doesn't need to see or know every detail. All she needs to do is trust that what's meant for her will come to her, and what's not meant for her will fall away. In a society that often emphasizes the need for immediate answers, instant gratification, and visible results, the idea of trusting in a process that is unseen can be unsettling. We are conditioned to want to control everything, to have a clear understanding of how things will unfold. But life doesn't always work that way. The true power of silence lies in the ability to release that need for control and to trust that things are happening exactly as they should. This process, though sometimes uncomfortable, is the birthplace of true transformation. By trusting the process, a woman allows herself to be guided, to be shaped by circumstances that she may not fully understand at the moment, but which are ultimately leading her toward a higher purpose. Trusting the process is about surrendering to the unknown and choosing faith over fear. It's about realizing that not every situation needs to be fixed right away, and not every conflict needs to be addressed in the moment. There is power in waiting, in allowing the dust to settle, in letting things unfold at their own pace. When you stay silent, you give yourself the space to reflect, to process, and to gain clarity. You aren't rushing to conclusions or making decisions out of emotion. You are allowing yourself to stay centered and grounded, understanding that the best course of action often arises when you stop trying to force things to happen. It's also in these moments of silence that God, or whatever higher power you believe in, is working on your behalf. Trusting the process means acknowledging that you are not alone in your struggles. There is a greater force at work, orchestrating events for your good, even when you cannot see the bigger picture. Sometimes, it's hard to believe this when everything around you feels like it's crumbling. But this is precisely when trust is most important. The moments when you feel the most helpless are the moments when you need to trust the most. Your silence in these times isn't just a form of restraint. It's an invitation for divine intervention. A quiet surrender that says, I am letting go, and I trust that you've got this. When you trust the process, you also trust yourself. You trust your ability to endure, to rise above, and to come out stronger on the other side. Trusting the process means believing that your current situation does not define you, and that the difficulties you face are merely steps on the path to something greater. Life's challenges are not meant to break you, they are meant to refine you. In the quiet moments of reflection, when you choose silence over reaction, you give yourself the opportunity to become the person you were always meant to be. This trust is also a trust in timing. We often feel pressured to act quickly, to respond immediately, to resolve every issue in the here and now, but not everything requires an immediate response. Some situations need time to breathe, to unfold naturally. The right time to act will come, but it requires patience. Silence allows you to wait for the right moment. It's the difference between reacting out of haste and responding with wisdom. When you trust the process, you trust that the right answers will come when you need them, not when you want them. In the silence, there is clarity. In the stillness, the path becomes clear. The timing of your actions becomes as important as the actions themselves. When you trust the process, you align yourself with a sense of peace. Trust removes the anxiety of control. It takes away the fear of the unknown and replaces it with the assurance that everything is unfolding exactly as it should. You stop trying to force outcomes, and instead, you start to trust that whatever happens is happening for your highest good. This doesn't mean you sit back and do nothing. It means that you take action when the time is right, but you also understand that some battles are not yours to fight. When you trust the process, you give yourself permission to step back, to be still, and to trust that things will work out in their own time. The woman who stays silent and trusts the process is the woman who is truly in control. She understands that silence is not the absence of power, but the presence of faith. She knows that in the quiet moments, she is being prepared for the next step in her journey. She understands that her trust in the process is what will carry her through the storm, and that the outcomes, however they unfold, will be for her growth, her strength, and her ultimate success. Trusting the process is a reminder that the best things in life don't always come quickly or easily, but they always come at the right time. There is an undeniable truth that many fail to recognize. Silence is a form of strength, especially when you realize that it is in your quiet moments that your true power is cultivated. The strength that comes from silence is not about bottling up your feelings or avoiding your emotions. Rather, it's about mastering the art of restraint, knowing when to let go and when to hold back. This is something that most people do not understand. They often equate silence with weakness, seeing it as a sign of retreat. But the woman who knows how to remain silent at the right time is far from weak. She is showing immense strength. Silence can be your greatest weapon, not because it prevents you from saying something in the heat of the moment, but because it empowers you to respond with clarity and intentionality when the time is right. Too often we speak out of impulse, out of anger, or out of frustration. We want to be heard, to make our point and to prove that we are right. But in doing so, we often lose control of the situation, and we find ourselves saying things we later regret. Silence, however, gives you the opportunity to hold your ground without sacrificing your dignity or your integrity. When you remain silent, you are taking control of your emotions and your reactions. You are choosing not to allow external forces to dictate how you respond. This is true power. The ability to respond thoughtfully rather than reacting impulsively. Silence allows you to pause and assess the situation. It gives you time to process your thoughts and your emotions, so when you do speak, your words carry weight and they come from a place of understanding and strength, not from an emotional reaction. In a world that constantly demands immediate responses, silence is a rare commodity. And it is in that silence that a woman's true strength lies. Being silent doesn't mean being passive. Far from it. It is an active decision. It is the decision to choose peace over chaos, clarity over confusion, and understanding over reaction. It's choosing to let go of the need to control every situation and instead trusting that the right outcome will unfold in its own time. There is tremendous strength in this decision. It requires self-discipline to remain quiet in the face of adversity, knowing that sometimes the best way to handle a situation is not through words, but through action and presence. The silent woman does not need to fight every battle with words. She understands that not every confrontation requires a response. She knows that some things are better left unsaid, and sometimes, by choosing not to engage, she holds the upper hand. Silence gives her the freedom to choose her battles wisely, to discern which conflicts are worth her time and energy, and which ones are better left for someone else to handle. The woman who remains silent in the face of provocation does not lose, she gains. She gains the ability to maintain her peace, to avoid unnecessary drama, and to conserve her energy for what truly matters. Silence also allows you to observe. When you choose not to speak, you create space for clarity. You can step back and assess the situation from a neutral perspective without the noise of your own emotions clouding your judgment. This observation period is crucial because it allows you to gain insights that you may not have noticed if you were caught up in the emotional whirlwind of the moment. You can see things for what they truly are, not what your initial reaction might want them to be. In this way, silence empowers you to make decisions that are based on wisdom, not impulse. In times of struggle, silence can be a form of protection. It can act as a shield, guarding you from the chaos and negativity that might otherwise drag you down. There are moments in life when the best thing you can do is step away from the noise, the opinions, and the judgments, and find peace in your own quiet space. When you are silent, you are not letting the outside world dictate your emotional state. You are setting boundaries, protecting your energy, and preserving your mental and emotional well-being. It is in this silence that you find your strength. Because when you are at peace within yourself, you are not easily shaken by the turmoil that surrounds you. This is not to say that silence is always the answer. There are times when speaking up is necessary, when using your voice can make a difference. But the key is in knowing when silence is the better choice. The woman who knows when to remain silent is the woman who is in control of her emotions, her reactions, and her life. She has learned the power of restraint, and in doing so, she creates space for herself to grow and evolve into the woman she is meant to be. The true power of silence is that it is a form of self-respect. When you choose silence in the face of disrespect, you are telling the world that you value yourself too much to engage in unnecessary conflict. You are saying that you do not need to defend yourself because your worth is not dependent on the approval or validation of others. In choosing silence, you refuse to be drawn into toxic situations that could diminish your peace and self-respect. This is not weakness. It is a form of inner strength, a strength that allows you to remain focused on your own growth and your own path. In moments of hurt or injustice, silence can also be a form of wisdom. It is the wisdom to know that some wounds need time to heal and some battles need time to be fought. It's the understanding that reacting in the moment can often escalate the situation, but waiting until the time is right can lead to a more powerful and effective response. Silence gives you the opportunity to gain perspective and to strategize. It allows you to handle situations with grace and maturity instead of letting your emotions rule your actions. Silence is a powerful tool, not because it is a passive act, but because it is an active choice. The woman who remains silent in the face of adversity is not weak but strong. She understands that in silence there is immense power. The power to control her emotions, to protect her peace, and to make decisions with clarity. She knows that silence allows her to observe, to reflect, and to respond from a place of wisdom. It is in these quiet moments that she is shaping her destiny and demonstrating the true strength of a woman who understands the power of silence. There's something deeply transformative about a woman who chooses to speak only when necessary and acts with purpose in silence. This isn't about becoming a passive observer in your own life or surrendering your voice entirely. It's about knowing when to speak and when silence serves you more powerfully. The power of speaking only when needed is not just about restraint. It's about the calculated, strategic choice to let your actions and your presence speak louder than words ever could. It's about understanding the deep connection between words, energy, and the impact they have on the world around you. In many situations, we are taught that speaking out, defending ourselves, or asserting our point of view is the only way to make an impact. However, real strength comes from recognizing that not every issue demands a verbal confrontation. There are moments in life when speaking too soon or too much only weakens your position. A woman who understands the power of silence knows that words can be misinterpreted, misconstrued, or even used against her. By speaking less, she removes any ammunition from the hands of those who would seek to undermine her. Her silence becomes her shield, and her focus remains on her true objectives. Think about how many times we speak just to fill the space, to avoid discomfort, or to ensure we are heard. But the woman who understands that not every battle requires a verbal engagement, that not every interaction needs a response, is the one who holds the power. Her silence is not a void, it is a calculated act that creates space for others to speak, for others to reveal their true intention. It's an invitation for clarity, because in that silence, everything hidden beneath the surface begins to emerge. When you choose silence, you make room for the truth to unfold, without the distractions of immediate reaction or impulsive words. One of the most powerful aspects of silence is its ability to reveal the true nature of others. People often reveal more about themselves when they think you are not responding to them immediately. They will expose their intentions, their weaknesses, and their insecurities when they think they have the upper hand. A woman who has mastered the art of speaking only when necessary is able to see through the facades that people put up. She becomes a silent observer, watching, analyzing, and assessing the true motivations of those around her. This insight allows her to make informed decisions about who she allows into her circle, who she trusts, and how she navigates her relationships. Silence is a form of self-preservation. The more you speak, the more you expose, and the more you open yourself up to potential harm. But when you choose silence, you protect your energy, you protect your inner peace from being disturbed by the chaos and noise that often surrounds us. You no longer need to engage in every conversation or argument that presents itself. Instead, you allow yourself the freedom to focus on what truly matters: your growth, your well-being, and your journey. By reducing the noise around you, you create a space for your own voice to grow stronger, clearer, and more focused. It's important to note that speaking only when necessary doesn't mean that you lose your voice. On the contrary, it's a reflection of a woman who has found her voice and has learned how to use it in the most effective way possible. When she speaks, it's with purpose. She has taken the time to reflect, to understand her feelings, and to choose the right words. Her words are not wasted on meaningless arguments or trivial issues. She uses them to elevate conversations, to inspire, and to drive positive change. Every word she speaks is intentional, measured, and powerful because she knows the value of using her voice at the right time. One of the most common reasons people speak unnecessarily is because they fear being misunderstood or ignored. But the woman who understands the power of silence knows that she doesn't need to constantly prove her worth or clarify her intentions. Her actions speak louder than any words ever could. She doesn't need to justify her choices to others because she understands that her path is hers to walk, and those who matter will see her for who she truly is. Without needing constant explanation, she has the confidence to let her silence do the talking, to trust that her actions will show her strength, her wisdom, and her integrity. When we talk too much, we often reveal things about ourselves that we might later regret. In the heat of the moment, our emotions can take over and we say things that don't serve us, or worse, we give people ammunition to use against us. But the woman who speaks only when necessary protects herself from these missteps. She understands that silence is a powerful tool for self-protection. It allows her to take a step back, to reflect before speaking, and to avoid saying things that could harm her in the long run. Silence creates the necessary space for self-control, enabling her to act from a place of clarity and peace rather than reaction. There's also a level of respect that comes with knowing when to speak. The woman who speaks only when necessary commands a different kind of attention. She doesn't need to dominate every conversation or every situation. She knows that her presence is enough. She's learned to listen more than she talks, and in doing so, she gains the respect of those around her. People are drawn to her not because of the noise she makes, but because of the stillness and wisdom she exudes. She has mastered the art of restraint, and this restraint is what makes her powerful. She becomes a beacon of calm in a world that thrives on constant stimulation. There's also a sense of confidence that comes with speaking only when necessary. The woman who chooses her words carefully is confident in her ability to communicate effectively when the time is right. She doesn't feel the need to fill the silence with meaningless chatter or opinions. She trusts herself to know when to speak and when to remain silent. This confidence allows her to navigate situations with a level of grace that others can only admire. She doesn't need validation from others because she has already validated herself through her actions and her restraint. In a world where people are constantly trying to be heard, the woman who speaks only when necessary stands out. She doesn't need to shout to get attention. She lets her actions speak louder than her words, and because of this, her words carry far more weight when she does choose to speak. In a sea of noise, she is the quiet force that commands respect, admiration, and influence. There is a remarkable power in understanding when to walk away from a situation, especially when it involves disrespect or harm. For many, the urge to stand their ground, to fight back, and to assert themselves is overwhelming. However, the woman who understands the true strength of silence knows that sometimes the greatest act of power is walking away. Walking away doesn't mean defeat. It doesn't signify that you've lost the battle. In fact, it is often the most empowered move you can make. It is a decision that says you value yourself too much to stay in a space that no longer serves you. It is a declaration that you are unwilling to allow disrespect, negativity, or toxic energy to have any hold over you. There are moments in life when standing up for yourself, while important, is not enough. Some situations require more than just confrontation. They require you to break free from the cycle of negativity entirely. Walking away is a conscious choice, one that removes you from the equation, enabling you to protect your peace and your dignity. It is about reclaiming your power and choosing not to allow others to dictate your emotional well-being. When you walk away from something or someone that disrespects you, you are not admitting defeat, you are asserting your worth. You are saying that you won't let anyone drag you into their chaos or make you feel small. The decision to walk away is often a difficult one. It requires immense self-awareness and the ability to see beyond the immediate emotions or frustrations that may arise in the moment. It is not about running away from a problem or avoiding conflict, but rather about choosing to disengage from a situation that would only serve to diminish you. When you walk away, you are giving yourself the space to heal, reflect, and find clarity. You are taking control of your life and moving toward a future that is more aligned with your values and your sense of self-worth. One of the greatest advantages of walking away from disrespect is that it allows you to detach emotionally from a toxic situation. In many cases, when we engage in conflict, especially with people who don't respect us, our emotions can cloud our judgment. We may become so entangled in the drama that we lose sight of our true goals and values, but by walking away, you free yourself from this emotional entanglement. You allow yourself the space to regain perspective and to focus on what truly matters. It's a way of breaking free from the cycle of toxic interactions and refusing to participate in the games that others may be playing. Choosing to walk away from disrespect also sends a powerful message to others. It shows them that you are not willing to tolerate behavior that undermines your value or your integrity. It demonstrates that you respect yourself enough to remove yourself from situations where you are not being treated with the dignity you deserve. The woman who chooses to walk away doesn't have to engage in endless arguments or confrontations. She doesn't need to prove herself because her actions speak volumes. She knows that respect is earned through consistency and self-respect, not through constant battles. There's a certain peace that comes with walking away from disrespect. When you remove yourself from a situation, you create space for healing and growth. You stop wasting your energy on people who do not appreciate you, and you redirect that energy toward things that elevate your life. Walking away gives you the opportunity to focus on your personal growth, your passions, and your well-being. You are no longer wasting time on things or people that do not add value to your life. Instead, you create space for new opportunities, healthier relationships, and a stronger sense of self. Another reason walking away is so powerful is that it gives you the opportunity to regain control. When you stay in a situation where you are being disrespected or mistreated, you are essentially allowing others to dictate your emotional state. They hold the power to hurt you, frustrate you, or make you feel inferior. But when you walk away, you take back that power. You take back control of your emotional state and refuse to let anyone or anything have that kind of influence over you. Walking away is an act of self-care and emotional maturity. It is the ability to remove yourself from negative influences and focus on what you can control, your own peace and happiness. It's also important to recognize that walking away is not a sign of weakness, it is a sign of strength and wisdom. It takes strength to remove yourself from a situation that is harmful, and it takes wisdom to know that engaging further would only lead to more negativity. The woman who chooses to walk away is not avoiding the conflict. She is choosing not to engage in it because she knows it won't serve her in the long run. It's an act of empowerment that allows her to rise above the chaos and maintain her inner peace. Walking away can also be a way to set boundaries. When you remove yourself from a situation where you are being disrespected, you are teaching others how to treat you. You are showing them that you will not tolerate behavior that diminishes your worth. In doing so, you set a powerful precedent for how others will interact with you in the future. The more you walk away from situations that do not align with your values, the more you reinforce the idea that you will only engage with people and situations that respect your boundaries. Over time, this helps you create an environment where you are surrounded by individuals who treat you with the respect and care you deserve. The act of walking away is also a reflection of emotional intelligence. It takes emotional intelligence to recognize when a situation is not worth engaging in, to understand that you are better off walking away than continuing to argue or fight. It shows a deep level of self-awareness and the ability to manage your emotions in a healthy way, instead of getting caught up in the drama or trying to win every argument. The woman who walks away knows that sometimes the best way to handle a situation is to simply remove herself from it. One of the most powerful aspects of walking away from disrespect is that it allows you to move on from situations that no longer serve you. Life is too short to stay stuck in toxic relationships, environments, or situations that drain your energy. Walking away gives you the freedom to move forward with your life, to embrace new opportunities, and to focus on what truly matters. It's an act of self-liberation that allows you to leave behind what no longer serves you and to step into a future filled with possibility and growth. Walking away from disrespect is one of the most powerful decisions a woman can make. It is a decision that allows her to protect her peace, maintain her dignity, and preserve her emotional well-being. It is a decision that says she values herself too much to stay in a situation that diminishes her worth. And while it may not always be easy, it is one of the most empowering choices a woman can make, because in walking away, she is taking control of her life and her future. Silence is often seen as a passive act, but for a woman who knows her worth, it is a calculated and powerful tool. The ability to control your emotions, to remain composed in the face of adversity, is a mark of emotional strength. It's easy to react impulsively, to speak out of frustration, anger, or pain. But the woman who understands the power of silence is able to take a step back, to pause, and to assess the situation before reacting. This is not about being weak or avoiding confrontation. It is about exercising control and choosing how you respond. It's about understanding that not every moment requires an emotional reaction, and that sometimes silence is the most powerful response. When emotions run high, it's tempting to lash out, to defend ourselves, or to express our hurt. But this is often the very thing that keeps us trapped in a cycle of negativity. When you respond in anger, frustration, or defensiveness, you may feel momentary relief, but you also invite more conflict into your life. It's a cycle that can drain your energy, damage your relationships, and lower your sense of self-respect. But when you choose silence, you step outside of that cycle. You refuse to be drawn into a negative emotional spiral. You take back control over how you feel and how you respond to others. And this doesn't mean that you suppress your emotions. It means that you acknowledge your emotions, but you don't allow them to control your actions. Emotional control is not about denying your feelings, but about choosing to respond in a way that reflects your true power. When you remain silent in the face of disrespect or frustration, you are making a conscious choice to not let your emotions dictate your behavior. You are choosing peace over chaos, understanding over conflict, and control over reaction. One of the most profound aspects of silence in the face of adversity is the clarity it brings. When we react immediately, we often say or do things we don't truly mean. Our emotions cloud our judgment, and we become entangled in the heat of the moment. But when you choose silence, you create space for reflection. You allow yourself the time and the clarity to respond thoughtfully rather than impulsively. In that silence, you give yourself the opportunity to ask yourself important questions. What is truly at stake here? What do I want to achieve by responding? How can I express myself in a way that reflects my values and my strength? Silence creates the mental space needed to assess the situation and choose your next move wisely. The ability to control your emotions also leads to a sense of empowerment. When you react emotionally, you are giving away your power. You are allowing your feelings to dictate how you behave, which often leaves you feeling regretful or weak after the fact. But when you exercise emotional control, you reclaim your power. You take charge of your actions and your responses. You don't let anyone else dictate how you feel or how you behave. In this way, silence is not an act of submission or passivity. It is a powerful assertion of self-control and personal strength. Another powerful aspect of silence in the face of adversity is its ability to disarm others. People who thrive on drama, conflict, or trying to provoke a reaction will often be thrown off when they don't get the response they expect. Silence creates confusion for those who are used to stirring up trouble. They may attempt to engage you in argument, but when you remain calm and silent, They find themselves without the ammunition they need to escalate the situation. They may feel frustrated, but you remain unaffected. In this way, silence becomes a shield, a way of protecting your peace and diffusing negative energy without having to engage in the battle. When you remain silent in the face of disrespect, you also send a message about your self-worth. You are telling others that their attempts to provoke you or diminish you are not worth your energy. You are asserting that you will not be dragged into petty disputes or manipulative tactics. You are above it. Silence in this context becomes a statement of dignity and self-respect. You show others that you know your value and that you won't waste your time on things that don't serve you or align with your goals. Silence also provides a level of mystery and intrigue. When you don't reveal all of your thoughts, feelings, and reactions, people are left to wonder. This sense of mystery can work to your advantage. People are drawn to what they don't fully understand, and by holding back some of your thoughts, you maintain a certain level of intrigue. You don't give everything away all at once. This makes people listen more closely when you do speak, because they know that when you do choose to share, your words will be powerful and meaningful. You don't need to flood the conversation with constant commentary. Instead, your occasional input carries much more weight when you speak, because people know it's intentional. In situations where others are trying to provoke you or get under your skin, silence can be an incredibly effective tool. When someone disrespects you, they are often hoping for a response, a reaction that will give them a sense of control over the situation. But when you remain silent, you take away that control. You refuse to let their actions dictate your emotional state or your behavior. Your silence in the face of provocation is not an admission of weakness. It is a powerful refusal to engage in their drama. You become the one in control of the situation, maintaining your peace and protecting your emotional well-being. It's also important to understand that silence does not mean surrender. In fact, silence is often the best way to maintain your integrity and protect your emotional health. When you respond to every negative comment or disrespectful action, you risk getting caught in an endless cycle of conflict. But by choosing silence, you create a boundary, a line that others cannot cross without facing consequences. You don't have to defend yourself constantly or explain your actions. Your silence says everything. You won't tolerate disrespect, you won't engage in petty arguments, and you value your peace too much to get drawn into negativity. The power of silence lies in its ability to give you space. It gives you the chance to breathe, to think, and to respond from a place of calm. When we react impulsively, we often regret our words or actions later. But when we remain silent, we protect ourselves from saying or doing things we don't mean. We give ourselves the opportunity to choose how to move forward in the most powerful and positive way. Silence becomes a tool for self-protection, emotional control, and personal growth. It is a reminder that not every situation requires a reaction, and that sometimes the most powerful response is to remain quiet and poised. When you walk away from a situation or a person that disrespects you, you are not only protecting yourself, but you are also protecting your peace. The world is filled with chaos, noise, and distractions. There are many people and situations that will try to pull you into their turmoil, but you have the power to choose where to invest your energy. Walking away is an act of self-preservation. It's about saying, I value my peace more than I value staying in a situation that causes me harm. When you walk away from disrespect, you are not admitting defeat. You are choosing to protect your inner calm and emotional well-being. Many people misunderstand the power of walking away. They believe that staying and fighting for respect is the only way to win. But sometimes the greatest strength lies in the ability to detach yourself from the conflict. It takes real courage to recognize that no amount of arguing, defending, or convincing will change someone who does not respect you. Instead of wasting energy on something or someone that will never give you the respect you deserve, walking away allows you to preserve your peace and move toward healthier situations and relationships. The ability to walk away with your dignity intact is a sign of emotional maturity, strength, and wisdom. When you walk away, you are not just removing yourself from the situation, you are also removing yourself from the toxicity that is attached to it. Toxic people and environments drain your energy. They leave you feeling exhausted, frustrated, and depleted. The constant need to prove yourself, the never-ending arguments, the manipulation, it all takes a toll on your mental and emotional health. Walking away from this toxicity is the best thing you can do for yourself. It is a clear statement that you will not allow anyone to treat you poorly, and you will not allow negativity to invade your life. When you walk away, you also send a message to others. You are teaching people how to treat you. The way you allow others to treat you is often a reflection of how you treat yourself. If you stay in a situation where you are disrespected, you are sending the message that you are willing to accept less than you deserve. But when you walk away from disrespect, you are telling others that you will not tolerate being mistreated. You set a standard for how you expect to be treated, and by doing so, you show others that you value yourself and your peace. Over time, this helps to build stronger boundaries and more respectful relationships. Walking away does not mean you are weak or afraid. In fact, it requires a great deal of strength to walk away from a situation where you have invested time, energy, or emotion. It's easy to stay and fight, to get drawn into the drama, or to try to win an argument. But walking away takes courage. It requires you to let go of the need for validation or approval from others. It requires you to trust that you are worthy of better, and that walking away is a step towards something greater. When you walk away, you are choosing yourself over the approval of others. One of the most important things to understand about walking away from disrespect is that it is not about the other person, it is about you. It's about recognizing your own value and making the decision to remove yourself from situations that don't align with your worth. You are not walking away because the other person is winning. You are walking away because you are choosing to protect your own peace. This is not about conceding or giving up. It's about choosing a life that brings you peace, joy, and respect. You are taking responsibility for your own emotional state and deciding that no one has the right to disrupt it. Walking away from disrespect can be a powerful act of self-care. It's about acknowledging that your emotional and mental well-being is worth more than a toxic relationship or a negative situation. The moment you walk away, you begin to take control of your life again. You stop allowing external circumstances to define how you feel. You reclaim your peace, your joy, and your sense of self. You choose to be in spaces and relationships that uplift and inspire you, rather than ones that drain and diminish you. This act of walking away also gives you the space you need to heal. When you are constantly surrounded by disrespect or negativity, it becomes difficult to heal. The energy is constantly being disrupted, and you never get the time or space to process your emotions or reflect on your experiences. Walking away gives you the necessary distance to heal, reflect, and grow. It allows you to process what happened without the constant chaos or manipulation of the other person. It's in this space that you find clarity, strength, and resilience. Walking away is not a one-time event. It's a continuous practice. Life will present you with countless opportunities to stand your ground and fight, but the woman who understands her value knows when to walk away. She knows that she does not need to engage in every conflict, that she does not need to justify herself or her actions to anyone who does not respect her. Walking away is a reminder that you are not responsible for changing others, but you are responsible for how you allow others to treat you. It is about knowing when to let go and trusting that by walking away, you are making space for something better to come into your life. There is also power in the act of walking away because it opens the door to new possibilities. When you leave behind situations that drain your energy or cause you harm, you make room for new, more positive experiences to enter your life. You create space for relationships that are built on mutual respect, trust, and understanding. You make room for opportunities that align with your values and your goals. Walking away is not an ending, but rather a beginning. It is the first step toward a new chapter, one where you are in control and where your peace is your highest priority. Walking away from disrespect is not a sign of defeat. It is a powerful statement of self-love, self-respect, and emotional strength. It is the ability to recognize your worth and to choose peace over chaos. It is about setting boundaries, protecting your mental and emotional health, and choosing to invest in relationships that add value to your life. In walking away, you reclaim your power, and in doing so, you create the space for your life to flourish. You are not running away from conflict, you are running toward a life that aligns with your true value and your highest potential. In the quiet moments of reflection, when you are left with nothing but your thoughts, it becomes evident that silence is not an absence, it's a presence. Silence is not just the lack of noise. It is the powerful force of being fully aware of your surroundings and your internal world without feeling the need to respond or react. The woman who can remain silent when all around her is chaotic, who can withhold her words when others try to provoke or disturb her, holds a power that many fail to recognize. This silence is not about avoiding conflict or hiding from reality. It is about understanding that your response is your choice, and sometimes choosing silence speaks volumes more than any words could. Silence provides the opportunity for a woman to tap into her strength, allowing her to process her thoughts, her emotions, and her circumstances without the distractions of external noise. In the silence, there is clarity. When a person speaks without thinking, emotions can lead to statements or actions that they later regret. Silence, on the other hand, allows for a pause that is necessary for reflection. This pause creates the space to understand a situation fully, to understand why you feel the way you do, and whether or not responding is necessary or even beneficial. When you are silent, you are not absent. You are engaged in a deeper conversation with yourself. You are listening to your inner voice, the one that knows your true power and the one that understands when to act and when to stay still. This is the kind of silence that allows a woman to protect her peace. In a world that is loud with opinions, judgments, and distractions, remaining silent in the face of disrespect or provocation becomes an act of self-preservation. People will try to drag you into their drama, their frustrations, and their emotional turmoil. But the woman who understands the power of silence knows that she does not have to partake in every battle. She does not need to react to every insult or every negative energy thrown her way. In remaining silent, she chooses to protect herself, to keep her peace intact, and to avoid unnecessary emotional investment in something or someone that does not serve her. Her silence is a shield, guarding her emotional well-being from the chaos that seeks to disrupt it. Silence can also act as a weapon of strength. When you remain silent, especially when others expect you to react, it forces them to question their assumptions about you. People are conditioned to expect reactions. They expect to hear your opinion, to feel your anger or frustration. But when you remain quiet, you defy their expectations. This throws them off balance, leaving them unable to predict your next move. Your silence creates an air of mystery and control. They do not have access to your emotions or your thoughts. They cannot use your words against you because you have chosen to withhold them. This silence gives you a position of power, one that requires no words, no explanations, just a calm, unwavering presence that speaks louder than any response ever could. Another key aspect of silence is its ability to expose the truth. Often, the noise around us can cloud our judgment and prevent us from seeing things clearly. When there is constant chatter and distraction, it becomes difficult to discern what is real and what is just a temporary reaction to external pressures. Silence clears away this fog. When everything is quiet, the truth becomes apparent. If a person has disrespected you, their true intentions will become clear in the absence of your emotional reaction. Silence allows you to observe and reflect on the situation giving you the clarity to make the best decision moving forward. Sometimes the truth is not about what is being said, but about what is left unsaid. In this way, silence acts as a mirror, reflecting the true nature of people and situations. Silence empowers you to let go of the need to constantly justify yourself. There are people who will never understand you no matter how much you explain. There are people who will judge you, criticize you, or disrespect you, no matter how well you articulate your thoughts or feelings. These people are not looking for understanding. They are looking for control, manipulation, or validation. In these situations, silence is the most powerful response. You do not owe anyone an explanation for your actions, your thoughts, or your choices. When you choose silence, you release the need to justify your existence or your decisions. You stop seeking validation from those who do not respect you or value you. You become the master of your own narrative, and you stop allowing others to dictate how you should feel or behave. The power of silence also lies in its ability to heal. When emotions are running high, it can be difficult to find peace or resolution. In the heat of the moment, anger, hurt, and frustration can cloud our ability to think clearly. But silence creates space for healing. It allows emotions to settle and gives the mind the time it needs to process and recover. Silence offers an opportunity for reflection and introspection. It provides the emotional distance necessary to make better decisions and to regain perspective. When you give yourself the gift of silence, you allow your emotions to cool, your mind to calm, and your soul to heal. The beauty of silence is that it is an active choice. You are not simply silent because you have nothing to say. You are silent because you choose not to engage. This decision is empowering. It allows you to break free from the need to respond to every provocation or disrespect. You regain control over your emotions and your reactions. Instead of being a passive participant in the chaos, you become an active decision maker. You choose peace over conflict, understanding over misunderstanding, and silence over unnecessary noise. This is the power that silence gives you. The power to take control of your own life, to define your boundaries, and to protect your emotional well-being. Where so much attention is given to words, silence is often underestimated. People believe that speaking out, defending yourself, or engaging in arguments is the only way to assert yourself, but silence speaks louder than words. It is the ultimate form of self-control, emotional intelligence, and strength. It is a deliberate and conscious choice to withhold your energy from the negativity around you. It is a declaration of your worth and your peace. By embracing the power of silence, you are choosing to protect your inner world and refuse to let anything or anyone disturb your peace. This silence is not emptiness. It is a presence that commands respect, reflection, and above all, peace. In conclusion, the woman who remains silent in the face of disrespect is not weak. She is powerful. She is a force of strength, wisdom, and emotional intelligence. By choosing silence, she asserts control over her reactions and protects her peace, understanding that not every battle is hers to fight. Silence is her shield, her weapon, and her pathway to clarity. It allows her to walk away from toxic situations without the need for confrontation, to reflect deeply on her choices, and to let go of the emotional weight that others try to place on her. In silence, she taps into the deepest parts of herself and finds the strength to rise above chaos and negativity. When you choose to remain silent, you are not choosing to disappear. You are choosing to reclaim your power. You are not submitting to disrespect. You are asserting your boundaries and demonstrating that you value your inner peace more than any external noise. Your silence speaks volumes more than any words could ever do. It commands respect, forces others to reflect, and protects the sacred space of your heart and mind. The woman who stays silent in the face of disrespect is not defeated. She is choosing to protect her peace, to heal, and to rise above. Her silence is her strength, her protection, and her most powerful tool for navigating a world that often demands too much from her. Embrace this silence. Let it empower you. Let it transform you, because in the quiet, that is where your true strength lies.